Welcome to the You Are It podcast. My name is Alejandra Orozco. I am a social science researcher and an energy healer. You Are It has been created to support you in expanding your perception of reality. You are loved and absolutely deserving simply because you are, not because of what you have accomplished. Join me and be ready to transform your beliefs and approaches as you enter the flow of becoming one with your highest good and your highest purpose. Every moment we witness injustice, harm, or systemic oppression, we are being shown something profound about our own conditioning, the beliefs about separation, scarcity, and hierarchy that we have unconsciously accepted as normal. In this episode, we explore how our responses to these situations reveal exactly where consciousness is ready to evolve beyond patterns that create suffering. From energy technology suppression to academic detachment, from spiritual bypassing to the everyday choice points we all face, we examine how both our inner state of being and outer responses either perpetuate separation consciousness or self-collective awakening. What I hope this episode helps us with is to develop the courage to see clearly, to become aware, and to respond from alignment with our deepest knowing that we are all inherently worthy and an expression of the same divine source. You are all absolutely welcome. Dear listeners, we are all facing moments right now that show us our conditioning, our beliefs, including any beliefs of scarcity and separation, our fears, indeed, our current state of being. The experiences in this plane of existence are based on our choices. So, what are we choosing? Do we look away when someone is being treated as lower than others? Or do we connect to the awareness of what is taking place and assess how to feel and how to act? In the ways we respond, in the thoughts we harbor, in the words we say, and in the actions we are able to take, do we tell ourselves, not much I can do, as everything happens for a reason, when we witness a lack of balance? Or do we trust that we have the power to influence what is taking place and the healing of the situation? Through connecting with our inner knowing, by becoming aware of our perception and beliefs about the experience, and by assessing our intentions and capacity for action to support individual and collective healing. Today, we are exploring something I have struggled and still struggle with in my journey from academic researcher to someone who also facilitates healing through practices like self-care. How do we respond to harm, whether it is emotional, physical, personal, or of any nature, whether it is happening in our workplace, our community, on a global scale, or within ourselves, without falling into either a spiritual bypassing or the kind of detached, impartial analysis that changes nothing, neither within us nor in our reality? This episode 27 will not offer the right answers. All I mean to do is to support our capacity to stay awake to the choices we make every single moment, every single day, that either honor the dignity in ourselves and others, or quietly participate in systems that diminish it. Maybe we start by exploring the illusion of normal. We have been conditioned from birth to accept certain realities as normal. Yes, we are talking about the illusion of normal. For example, that some humans are more valuable than others, that extreme wealth concentration, while others lack basic needs, is just how things are, that we must destroy the environment to have prosperity, that indigenous people should be removed from their lands to address environmental quote-unquote conservation, that some nations are inherently deserving of abundance, while others remain in debt despite being richer in all manner of resources. And yet, when we connect to our deeper knowing that we are all divine expressions of the same source, none of this feels normal at all. The discomfort we feel when witnessing injustice is not a sign of weakness. It is our soul recognizing a violation of fundamental truth. We know, deep down, that no member of creation stands above any other. Yet, we have learned to suppress this knowing, to adapt to systems that require us to see hierarchy and separation as natural law rather than constructed beliefs, until the point comes when society now sees as normal what has never been our essence. When we encounter injustice, our response reveals our internal conditioning. Perhaps you are in a work meeting and a colleague's idea gets dismissed the moment they speak, but credited when someone else repeats it minutes later. Do you stay silent to avoid awkwardness, or do you say something like, "I think Maria just suggested that"? Or maybe you are at a family dinner and your uncle makes a comment about those people ruining the neighborhood. Do you change the subject to keep peace, or do you find a way to redirect without causing a scene? Maybe asking, "Uncle, have you actually met any of our new neighbors?" When you see somebody struggling with heavy groceries and a stroller at the store entrance, do you keep walking because you are in a hurry, or do you pause to hold the door? These are not random events happening to us. They are consciousness showing us through our experience the patterns of separation we carry within. Our inner state of being powerfully contributes to what becomes available for us to witness and respond to. Allow me to address two responses that feel spiritually or intellectually advanced, but which often serve the same function: to protect us from confronting our own participation in the systems we witness. Spiritual bypassing. It uses transcendent concepts to avoid uncomfortable engagements. For example, everything is perfect in divine timing. This is their soul's chosen lesson. Focusing on my inner work is the highest service. Or academic detachment, which uses claims of objectivity to avoid personal responsibility. For example, I maintain a scholarly neutrality. My role is to document, not advocate. We need more research before acting. I just present the facts. Both of them can feel elevated, but both allow us to witness harm while avoiding the discomfort of actually engaging with our power to respond differently. So, what is the deeper pattern? When we use purely abstract spiritual thinking or academic impartiality to avoid confronting injustice, we may actually be among those who perpetuate the same consciousness that creates injustice in the first place. The consciousness of remaining in our silos because of our perception of separation from others and from the divine. Science has been used to justify removing indigenous peoples from their lands in the name of conservation, while the same lands are then used to promote killing wildlife for the sake of killing wildlife through trophy hunting concessions that generate profit. Academic research has provided legitimacy for GMO monocultures that destroy biodiversity while enriching corporations. Objective economic policies have created artificial scarcity in resource-rich nations while concentrating wealth among the few. Consider how promising energy technologies that could have provided abundance for all have faced systemic and systematic suppression. Tesla's wireless energy transmission research was confiscated immediately after his death. Stanley Meyer's water fuel cell technology, which he demonstrated publicly, led to patent disputes and his sudden death after meeting with potential investors. Countless other inventions of free energy devices have seen their patents bought up and buried, their labs raided, and their work discredited through institutional pressure. These patterns reveal how consciousness conditioned by scarcity or greed will suppress the very technologies that could dissolve artificial limitations. Maintaining systems where energy, like healthcare, education, and basic resources, remain controlled by the few rather than freely available to all. When I documented the cartographic manipulation that led to the disenfranchisement of the Uvinje community in Tanzania, I could have remained in academic impartiality, publishing papers and getting my doctorate while the community continued to face displacement. That would have felt intellectually rigorous and professionally safe. This is not an example of virtue, but me being honest about the real tensions many of us face between institutional comfort and honoring our values. The professional costs have been real. Numerous unsuccessful applications to international agencies and development programs. But I am still figuring out whether those outcomes are truly connected to my choices or just the competitive nature of these fields. Many of you likely face similar tensions in your own professional and other environments. Similarly, I could have used spiritual frameworks to rationalize the situation. This is the process, and my own faith prevents me from doing anything that challenges the actions of a current government. Or divine timing will resolve this. That would have felt spiritually sophisticated. Or following religious laws, some of which I was following at that time, while requiring no uncomfortable action. But both approaches would have served the same function, allowing me to witness documented injustice while avoiding my responsibility as consciousness, with the power to act, to respond with both precision and love. There is a lot that is revealed by our discomfort. When we feel disturbed by injustice, that disturbance is showing us something crucial about our conditioning. We have been taught to accept as normal what our source, recognized as violation of natural law. The anger we feel when witnessing oppression often carries important information about beliefs we hold, that we are powerless to create change, that challenging systems will bring retaliation, that maintaining our comfort and safety is more important than others' dignity, that some forms of harm are not our responsibility. Not everything we witness we have the tools to address through immediate social or personal action. But that is not the key issue. The numbness we might feel when scrolling past images of environmental destruction or suffering reveals how we have learned to protect ourselves from feeling the interconnectedness that will make such harm unbearable. These responses are not wrong. They are showing us exactly where our consciousness has been conditioned to accept separation as truth, to squash and deny the power we hold to create a new reality. Creating a new reality starts from our inner world, and physical action reflects inner conditions. What we consent to see as normal, how we end up taking sides instead of challenging in the first place the creation of a divide among parties, cultures, nationalities, races, genders, is what contributes to the reality we are experiencing. What could be a more integrated path? How do we respond when reality mirrors back to us our conditioning around separation and hierarchy? First, we can choose to feel fully. We don't spiritualize away our anger at injustice or intellectualize away our grief at destruction. These emotions often carry crucial information about what wants to be transformed, both within us and in our world. Second, we can examine our beliefs. What would we need to believe for this situation to feel normal or acceptable? What fears keep us from engaging more directly? Where do we position ourselves as above or below others in ways that maintain separation? Third, we can act from alignment. This doesn't mean we have to quit our jobs and become activists. It means we look for ways to respond that honor the divine worth in all involved, whether that's having a difficult conversation, redirecting resources, or simply refusing to participate in systems that diminish others. But the idea isn't just to create better responses to mental effort, but to recognize when consciousness itself is moving through us to respond. This may require going beyond using both abstract spiritual concepts and analytical frameworks as mental constructs, and allowing awareness itself, our deeper inner knowing, to guide our engagement. Fourth, we hold paradox, both in the way we choose to perceive communities or individuals being oppressed, as divine beings using their power to call us to be part of something more inclusive, something more honorable for the entire human race, and in the way we recognize that those causing harm are also divine expressions caught in conditioning or the illusion of superiority, while we still set clear boundaries about harmful behavior. And we can work for justice while staying open to our own blind spots and continued learning. The path beyond both spiritual bypassing and academic detachment requires us to step out of comfortable roles that protect us from fully engaging with our power as conscious beings. When we truly recognize that we are consciousness co-creating reality, every situation becomes both a mirror for our inner conditioning and an opportunity to respond from a more awakened place. This means we can no longer hide behind, "Oh, I am just a researcher," or "I am a busy mom," or "Once an agency makes a decision, I cannot do anything about it," or "I am focused on my own spiritual practice." As powerful divine beings, could we engage with both the rigorous analysis that can document and address harm and the heart-centered response that make us to become and behave more consciously? What I mean to share is not about becoming perfect or having all the right responses. It is about becoming more conscious of the moment-to-moment choices that either perpetuate separation consciousness and conflict, or that serve our collective awakening to our fundamental interconnectedness and oneness with every being in creation. There is a gift in what is being mirrored to us. Reality is showing us through every situation we encounter exactly where consciousness is ready to evolve beyond paradigms of separation and conflict, and beyond fear and the feeling of powerlessness. The injustices we witness, the harm we feel compelled to address, the systems we feel called to transform, all of this is consciousness awakening to its own conditioning and choosing a different way. It is reality inviting us to find the inner peace that can support the establishment of world peace, to hold as sacred the very nature of all living beings that enables us to be a source of light to every creature and every human we encounter, to marvel at the miracle of this existence and the pathway that unlocks the invaluable gift of our fearless authenticity and unique presence. When we respond to injustice from this understanding that we are consciousness examining and transforming its own patterns, both our inner work and outer action become expressions of the same movement towards wholeness. This doesn't make the work easier, but it makes it sacred. Every moment we choose to see divine worth in all involved, while refusing to enable harmful behavior, we are literally participating in consciousness evolving beyond the illusions that create suffering. This looks different depending on where we are. Yes, it depends on our unique life situations. If you are a student and you see classmates cheating or bullying, do you speak up, stay silent, or actively participate? If you are a parent, what do your children observe about how you treat the person who cleans your building or delivers your packages? If you are an employee, when you witness pay inequality or discriminatory hiring practices, do you raise concerns even if it risks your comfort? If you are struggling financially, do you recognize that your dignity and voice matter as much as anyone else's, regardless of your bank balance? If you have economic privilege, do you examine how your purchasing decisions, investments, and votes affect communities you will never meet? At this point, the question we can ask ourselves is, are we armed with the courage to see? Dear friends, this work of awakening to our conditioning is not about feeling guilty for what we have accepted as normal or how we have participated in systems of separation. It is about developing the courage to see clearly both the patterns that create harm and our power to respond differently. When we withdraw from using spiritual bypassing, intellectual frameworks, or limiting beliefs to avoid uncomfortable engagements, when we recognize that our inner state of being directly influences outer reality, when we understand that every response either perpetuates separation or serves healing, then every moment becomes an opportunity to make a conscious choice. The world is not showing us injustice so that we can feel overwhelmed or helpless. It is showing us exactly where consciousness is ready to transcend all patterns of division and remember its fundamental nature as love, expressing through infinite forms. It is inviting us to become aware of where we have been and to be brave to transcend all limitations. Again, your willingness to see clearly, feel fully, and respond from alignment is not just personal growth, it is consciousness itself, learning to recognize and transform the beliefs and mental patterns that create suffering. These are not final answers or prescriptions for how you should respond. We are all learning how to navigate these tensions between comfort and integrity, between inner work and outer action. What I am sharing are invitations to examine our own patterns and beliefs and to discover what conscious engagement looks like in our unique circumstances. There is no single right way to do this work. May you all have the courage to see what reality is showing you about your own conditioning and the wisdom to respond in ways that serve the awakening of all consciousness to its true nature as love. I love you all absolutely dearly. Me llamo Alejandra and you have been listening to You Are It. Until next time. Rumi once said, "You search the world for treasures, but the real treasure is yourself." This is the essence of our message on the You Are It podcast. You are the treasure waiting to be discovered or enjoyed. You are the flame that never consumes itself and the light that shines everywhere. Now you are home. Please know that you are most welcome. Stay tuned as we look forward to sharing something of value on every episode.